Hi everyone, this is Sunny Kumar from IIT BHU and welcome to my channel Code with Sunny. And today I'm going to discuss the problem palindromic substrings of Leetcode. Index number is 647 and the problem is of medium type. Okay, so let's discuss the problem now. Okay, so we have been given a string and our task is to count how many palindromic substrings occurs in this string, and the substrings with different starting indexes or ending indexes are counted as different substrings even they consist of same characters. Okay, so basically we have to count what are the total number of uh, palindromic substrings in this string, and with we have to count the distinct indices, that is starting and ending indices. Any one of them must be distinct. Okay, so basically this problem is an extension of the classical problem of dynamic programming, or you can say finding the what should be the longest palindromic substring occurring in the given string. Okay, so how we are going to calculate this palindromic substring, that is the count. So okay, so let's move further to analyze and to understand this problem with the help of example. So let's discuss the constraints now. Okay, and the input string length won't exceed 1000. Okay, so it is obvious that O of n square solution will work for this problem because number of iterations will go at most to 10 power 6 10 power 6, and it is okay with that. Okay, so we must think of up to O of n square solution. Okay, so let's move further to understand and analyze this problem with the help of example and what should be our the best efficient solution approach for this problem. Okay, so let's move further. Okay, so let's take a example string as a, and okay, so let me take a okay best example, that is let's say I'm going to take as a a and b, and let's take it another as a, and let's take it another a. Okay, so what are the total number of palindromic substrings occurring in this string? It is basically all the single characters, that is the character itself are already the palindromic substrings of length 1. You can see a, that is a, b, a, and they say all are the palindromic substrings, so our answer is incremented by 5. And let's figure out for the length equal to 2. You can see this substring is also a palindromic substring and this substring is also a palindromic substring, so our answer is incremented by 2. And let's move further to find the next palindromic substring. You can see a, b and a, this is also palindromic substring, so our answer is incremented by 1. And what should be the our next palindromic substring? This is for length 3, and you can see this entire string, which is also a substring of the given string, is also a palindromic substring, so our answer comes out to be 9. So these are the palindromic substrings occurring in this string. And okay, so let's come up, we have to find the count for this count of this occurrence. What are the number of distinct palindromic substring, distinct starting or ending indexes? Okay, so what are the approaches that we have to solve this problem efficiently? Okay, so let's start with the basic approach. What one can think in the very start while looking for this question. Okay, so let's think for the basic approach. So let me write what should be our first approach that anyone can think, that is starting a brute force. It is obvious that one can start thinking from brute force. Can it be solved with the help of brute force? Yes, it can be solved with the help of brute force. That is, you can have a iteration like I from 0 to n, and you can pick up j starting from also I to n, and pick up the every substring in O of n square solution, O of n square time. Okay, that is, pick any substring in O of n square time. But you can see we have to check that substring, that whether it is of palindrome or not. It would also take at more, in worst case it would take O of n time. So our entire complexity will goes up to O of n cube, which is greater than O of n square. So this solution will not work, obviously, because we can see number of iterations. If the in worst case it will be like if n is going to be 1000, our in worst case the iterations will go up to 10 power 9, which will give us the TLE verdict. So this solution is not a good solution for this problem. Okay, so brute force solution doesn't work. Okay, so let me move further to the next problem. So if brute force solution is not going to work, what should be the next optimal solution for this problem? We can have a dynamic programming solution also, that is, with the help of previous values that I've already computed, can we answer this current state, that is, can we answer that our current substring can be the palindromic substring with the help of the previous states? Yes, we can answer that. So we can have a dynamic programming approach also. Let me write, this is my second approach, that is, you can see DP, this is dynamic programming, and you can see DP, and I am going to use with the help of longest palindromic substring concept, that is longest palindromic substring concept. With the help of longest palindromic substring concept, we can easily answer what are the total number of palindromic substrings occurring in this string. How we can answer that? We can easily see, according to the classical problem of a longest palindromic substring, we can have like the substring of length 1 is always a palindromic substring. Okay, so in that case, I will mark my dp of I comma I. That is, you can say I am going to write for substring of length 1. My dp matrix would be like which is a boolean matrix. Dp of I comma I for a one length substring would be always true. Okay. Now in this case, I will increment my answer by 1. And what about for the length equal to 2? This is for the length equal to 1, and for length equal to 2 I need to check if I have, for length equal to, I have my first index as I and second index as j. You can see for length equal to I need to check if s of I is exactly equal to s of j, and I can say yes, dp of ij is a palindromic substring. In that case also I am going to increment my answer and mark dp of ij as true, dp of I and dp of j as true, and I will increment my answer by 1 because this is a palindromic substring. This was the first two case. And what about for the length greater than 2? I can have like okay, so let me erase this stuff. Okay, so let me erase this one. Okay, so I am going to write here. Okay, so for length greater than equal to 2, I will be writing like for the current state I am going to check if my length is greater than 2, that is j minus I plus 1 is greater than 2, that is length is 2 greater than 2, that is the current substring length, it is greater than 2, and dp of I plus 1, that is okay, I am going to explain that also, and j minus 1. Note that this first subscript has the values between I equal to 0 and I equal to n minus 1, both inclusive. And similarly, this second subscript of my 2D matrix will be like it's also varying from 0 to n minus 1 because I have maintained a Boolean matrix of size n into n, which is zero based indexing, which is a Boolean matrix. I am going to check if my current substring length from I to j is going to be palindrome or not. This is what this dp Boolean matrix 2D matrix is going to do here. Okay, so if I am going to check if my length is going to be greater than 2 and my this is if this is also true, it would be like, okay, so let me write down a, and it would be like okay, so I'm going to write A, B, A, A. Now suppose I is here and J is here, and I'm going to check if ending indexes and if starting indexes and ending indexes are like this one, and if this is palindrome, then and this character is are equal, then it is obvious that entire string from I to J will be palindrome. So I'm going to check if this holds and this holds, and s of I is exactly equal to s of j, then I can say my current length, that is current substring from I to j both inclusive, is also palindrome. So I will mark dp of ij as true and increment my answer. And if this doesn't hold, just move further and do nothing. That is because I have already initialized my dp matrix with false. dp of ij is true. simply. Okay, so this was for the with the help of dynamic programming using longest palindromic substring. Okay, and this is basically a, you can say, a bottom up approach, because I'm going to build from the base cases. Okay, so okay, so this was the bottom up approach. And what about for more approaches to solve this problem? It would be like recursion with memoization, or we can usually pre-store the values like okay, so let me discuss that one also. Okay, so let me erase this stuff. So if you are not going to understand this, how I have written these conditions, no need to worry about. I'm going to explain when I'm going to explaining the code. I will explain that again. Okay. So my third approach would be like DP. You can say DP also, or you can say recursion with memoization. That is, I'm going to store previous calculated values. And what I'm going to do, just start from I equal to 0 to I equal to n minus 1, and also start from j equal to I and goes up to j less than n, and call a function like, let's say, calc calculate, and pass parameters like s string and starting index and ending index. And in my calculated function, I'm going to just do like, if I is going to be greater than or equal to j, I'm going to return 1, because yes, I have found the palindromic substring. Otherwise, in similar to like recursion with memoization, I'm going to just maintain a DP, or you can say count matrix, like or you can say Boolean matrix. Okay, so if DP of I, or you can say I'm going to maintain a count matrix, which would be like IMT DP of maximum size like 1001 and another 1001, and which are all initialized to initially as -1. Okay, if DP of ij is not equal to -1, just because we have already found that value, we just return that. Okay, otherwise just check if my current that is for current I and j, if s of I exactly equal to s of j, if s of I is exactly equal to s of j, yes, I can say I have found that. What I found the palindromic substring. So just return dp of ij equal to 1. If you are not going to understand this, just hold on, I am going to explain that with the code. Otherwise, just you can say just return the dp matrix as it is. Okay, you not need to worry about, because you can easily observe there is more better methods to solve this problem. Okay, so this was the second one, and let me discuss the last, or you can say a tricky method to solve this problem also. So let me first erase this stuff. Okay, so okay, so now, okay, so my another method is just be smarter, and just like just you have an O of n square solution, and check for every I, that is for every I belongs to, you can say for every I belongs to 0 to n, just check for even length palindrome string and odd length palindrome string. Let's say I am current index I. Okay, I am going to check what are the length of the substring which are palindrome. It would be like, let's iterate to the left for from the current index I, and iterate to the right up to when just go down to the rightmost index when s of left and s of right is not equal. Okay, so just I am going to write a simple if while loop condition for every index I. Okay, so I am going to write here like why okay, so if you are not going to understand this, just look for this while, let's say for every, I am going to start with I, while left is or you can say left is greater than 0 and right is less than, and s of left is equal to s of right. And if this is going to hold, just decrement l minus minus, and just increment r, and just increment your count, which will be denoting that the length of the palindromic substring, because these are the characters that are equal. So I'm going to just go to the extreme indexes, extreme to the left or extreme to the right, when this condition doesn't hold, that is s of left is not going to be equal to s of right, or we have reached the boundary point. Okay, so I'm going to do that for two cases. Like for this was let's say I'm going to do this for even length palindromic substring, and then do for the odd length palindromic substring. How we are going to do that? It is just simply like pass a parameter to a function, like starting index is I, and you can say just two parameters I need to pass, because a left one and to right one. Just to pass the same parameters starting from the same one. You can say if I'm going to start from like this one and both are pointing to the same, just in next one would be this, next would be this. So I will always get like an odd length palindromic substring if we found. Otherwise pass a parameter like I and I plus 1. If I'm going to pass like I and I plus 1, I would be like doing okay, so if I pass like I this one and I plus 1, in next successful iteration, I will be at this one, and my right pointer will be at this one. You can see I've always an even length of palindromic substring. So this will give us for even length, odd length, and this will give us for even length, and I'm going to do this for every I and just add the answer. So this will be sufficient. So I've discussed around four approaches to solve this problem efficiently. You can see the first one is the brute force approach, which is not going to work, and other three approaches are very well. You can use that anyone. Okay, so let's move further to the coding part. Okay, so let's code it out as fast as possible. So basically, I've already written the codes of two methods, and I'm going to explain the only the third method because of, or you can say the time. So I have written like a recursion with memoization approach. So let me uncomment this code and first and comment this one also. Okay, because I need to run this code also. Okay, so you can see I've used the approach of recursion with memoization, and which is basically done using like this DP, a 2D DP array. Okay, which is an integer one. Okay, so in the actual function I have just initialized my answer as 0 and as strings length, and I have set the values of this 2D DP, you can say the table, as -1. Okay, now I've just used the O of n square approach, just I equal to 0 to up to in and j from I to j up to n, and pick the substring from I to j both inclusive indexes, and checked if this is going to be a or a palindromic substring or not. And if this is going to be palindromic substring, just increment my answer and finally return the answer. Now I need to check what is this check function. So let's come up to the check function. It is just a boolean function, and if I is going to be greater than or equal to j, just return 1, denoting that we have found a palindromic substring. And if this is not equal to -1, it signifies that we have already reached this state. We need not to do perform further operations, because if I am going to do that, I am just repeating my previous steps, and if I have already pre-calculated these previous steps, I just need to return that. Okay, so this is nothing but recursion with memoization with the help of table. You can say here having using a 2D DP table. Okay, just return that value, and if the current string, you can say s of I is not equal to s of j, just return dp of ij equals 0, as simply as that. And if this is not true, then I need to check for further lengths. Okay, just like, okay, I'm going to explain with this one. Okay, okay, so if I am going to check for this, if this is I and if this is j, I need to check if this is going to be a palindromic substring only when this one aba is going to be a palindromic substring. That's what I'm going to check. If I'm going to check this for I and this for j, I need to check for this one. So that is what I'm going to do here. Return dp of ij equals check s I plus 1 and j minus 1. And okay, and if this is done, I've done with the check function, and this will return the correct value. Okay, so this, let me run this code and check it out. Yes, it is accepted. So okay. Okay, so it is good. So let me perform my second method. Okay, let me show the second method. Let me comment this one again. Okay, so let me move to this second method, which is nothing but with the concept of dynamic programming of what bottom up approach using longest palindromic substring concept. Okay, I need to explain that also, because this will also give a correct answer efficiently. Okay, here I have a count substrings function, actual function. Now I have just maintained a 2D Boolean matrix dp n comma n of size and it initialize as false. Now I'm going to check if my current substring is current substring length from I to j both inclusive is going to be a palindromic substring. Just mark it as true and increment my answer. How I'm going to check that? Just we can check using the previous pre-computed values. Okay, so let's iterate from n minus 1 and iterate for every I, just iterate from j equals to I for j less than n. So this might be some questions for our viewers, like why I'm not going to iterate from starting one. So okay, so to iterate from starting one gives a problem. What is the problem here? Let's understand that also. Okay, so suppose I need to check for A, B, A. Okay, so let us take a good string A, B, A. Okay, so I need to check for this I and this J. So I need to check, I need to know the value of I plus 1 and J minus 1. Okay, so if I need to calculate for I and j, I need to know for I plus 1 and j minus 1. So if we start I from 0 and take any j starting from I up to j less than n, I doesn't, we are not aware of the values like I plus 1 and j minus 1. So if we start from I equal to n minus 1 up to 0 and take j as I up to j less than n, then we can easily say for computing the for checking the palindromic substring of current I and current j, we can easily know the I plus 1 and j minus 1, so we can easily answer. So that is the reason I'm going to start from the backward side. Okay, so just iterate from I equal to n minus 1 up to 0 and j from I to n, and let's take a two boolean variable. So if s of I and s of j are true, my flag 1 is true, that is marking my flag as a boolean variable as true. And if my j minus I plus 1 is less than 3, it would be like okay, so if my substring is of like this one, I am always aware that I need to check for flag 1 already, because I need to check for flag 1 only. Okay, and if my length is only single a, I am going to check for flag 1 again, because it I'm not going to, we are not having like I plus 1 and j minus 1. We are having like I plus 1 and j minus 1 only when the length of the substring is going to be greater than 2. So that is what I'm going to check here. If this is less than 3 and flag 2 is already is flag 2 is made true, otherwise I need to check for this one, dp of I plus 1 and j minus. If this is a palindromic substring, then only I can say, and then only I'm going to mark my flag 2 as true. And if flag 1 is true and flag 2 is true, then only I can have a palindromic substring for current range, for current I and j. Just increment answer, just make dp of ij as true, and just okay, so finally return the answer. Let me submit this code directly. Okay, so this is done. Okay, so let's move out to our the last approach to solve this problem, which is also a very good one. Okay, so let me comment this down again. Okay, so let me uncomment this one, which is now going to be a very useful one. Okay, so let me lower this. Okay, so okay, so let me do this one also. Okay, I'm going to just do this. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is okay, so just write down as which I need repeatedly as n equals s dot length, and and to mark my answer as initially as 0, and just iterate for every I and check uh, I less than n and I plus plus, check for count of even and odd length palindromic substrings. Okay, so let's increment my answer for get answer or calling s, I and j, and this should be for odd length palindromic substring, and let's do that for even length palindromic substring also. How can I do that? I and I plus 1, and let's do this as I because I need to have the same indexes. Okay, so just finally return the answer, and I need to write the get answer function also. Okay, so let's write the get answer function now. So okay, so it will be returning some value int get answer, and it parameter based string s comma int I comma int j. Okay, so this was done. So I need to write something like int n equals s dot length. Okay, so let's make it some more good, like l and r. Okay, so I need to find out the current answer also. Let's mark it as current answer as 0. Just write down while L is greater than equal to 0 and R is less than N, and you can say S of left is going to be equal to S of right. Then just do two things, three things: L minus minus, R plus plus, and current answer plus plus. Just return the current answer. That is the what is the possible answer for this current I that I have passed as parameters. Okay, I think this is done. So let's run this code and check it out. Yes, it is good. Okay, so I'm going to comment this down and write even length palindromic, okay, substring. Okay, so let's submit this code and check it out. Yes, this is good. Runtime is 4 ms, which is faster than 90.26%. So, okay. So the link to the code for every approach is mentioned in the description section of the video, and I will ask the viewers to like this video, share this video, and also join my Telegram channel mentioned in the description section of the video, and do subscribe to my YouTube channel for latest updates. Thank you for watching this video.